I think we're good to go.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to TRHS, talking stacks, daily fantasy football. Josh and Cameron here. Like I said, it's about 3 weeks away, I believe, right, from this weekend to be opening weekend of the NFL season, and it can't come soon enough. Like I said, especially for someone here who's a diehard Sixers fan, and they're awful in basketball. So I have the Flyers, but I'm just waiting on football to come back for many reasons. So,
football.
Getting pretty excited.
You know the year's about to get good when football season starts, because right after football season starts, you start the holidays. You've got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, my birthday, New Year's Day. So it all starts to come together when football season starts. So
it's a good time end of January, but same month, so it's a good month. So
right. So what we did, guys, is we just went through week one salaries and looked at the matchups and the teams, and we're going to tell you guys a couple of the stacks that we're targeting. The list that I have is actually probably going to be every stack that I'm targeting in week one. Some of them might be a little bit surprising for you. I'll explain why. There's obviously reasons behind each one of these stacks. But we'll go ahead. We'll start it off. Josh, what's the first group that kind of caught your eye as far as who you want to play?
Well, I think I mentioned a little bit too before, already looking ahead when we did our thing. I think it was like 2 weeks ago when we were just very excited when the first salaries dropped. And I said, unfortunately, I hate doing homer picks. Like I said, I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but I couldn't get away from the prices that the first week going into the season that the Eagles players have almost the whole skill position player set. So I actually have them as my number one stack that I'm looking to play week one, between whether if you're looking at Miles Sanders, who's, like I said, you and me have talked about him a bunch already in our preseason stuff here. He's only 6,300, and that's going to be a bargain for the whole season because he's absolutely going to eat this year. Wentz at 6,300, and I said Deshaun Jackson's under 5,000. I mean, get him while he's healthy, and he torches the Redskins. Like I said, week one last year, he had 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And then when you look at the tight ends even too, Zach Ertz at 5,800. I said, and Jalen Reagor, who's been tearing up camp so far this year. And again, it's very important, more so than any other year, to pay attention these first couple weeks of how camps are going because of no preseason. Jalen Reagor, dirt cheap at 4,300. I'm definitely week one matching. I'm going to mix in some of this Eagles offense. Like I said, Wentz is looking like the Wentz, Jackson, Ertz I like a lot. And some other ones I might play where I fix in Miles Sanders with some of the other ones I'm going to talk about, and Cam's going to talk about here too. I just think price-wise, their offense, when healthy, is going to be very, very good. So week one, and matchup-wise, the Redskins' defense stinks. So I don't care what anyone tries to tell you. They try to tell you their defense is a little better. Or they're not the Redskins. The football team that plays in Washington, my bad. I apologize.
The future Washington Red Wolves?
Something like that. Yeah, I know I saw PFT's really pushing for that. So, but the football team in Washington, their defense sucks. So I really, like I said, the Eagles are very attractive to me, and I had them way up high on my list.
They're number one on my list for stacks. There's just the same thing on FanDuel. I know you're doing DraftKings over there. On FanDuel, it's the same thing. You've got Carson Wentz at 7,700. That's a stone cold lock for me when I see that. And the thing about this is when you're doing stacks, and I mass multi-enter most of my tournaments. I don't necessarily play the Millionaire Maker because that's a little bit steep sometimes. But I'll play things like I go into the Quarter Arcade, the $3, those ones right there. Yeah, I'm not. I can assure you, Robbie, I will not be betting anything Washington this year. I can assure you of that. There's no doubt about it. But they're terrible. But yeah, and when you're thinking about starting a quarterback or giving a quarterback a chance that had a broken leg and may have never played again, you have some real issues at quarterback. But yeah, so there's so many different receivers and tight ends that you can mix with them, and I like that. So he's going to be my most exposed quarterback, most likely, week one, unless something crazy happens, something changes. You got Jalen Reagor. You've got Arcega-Whiteside, who is a red zone guy. So, and then you got Deshaun Jackson, like you've already talked about. He torches the Redskins. It's almost like there's some things in sports you can count on. Deshaun Jackson torching the Redskins is almost right there at the top of things. And then you got Zach Ertz, the safety blanket. So I'll definitely have quite a bit of Carson Wentz in week one. And I'm going to have a lot of mixtures. I'm going to have him with just Jackson. I'm going to have him with Jackson Rager. I'm going to have 2 wide receivers with Carson Wentz at every opportunity. I may not. I know you may do. It sounds like you're going to try to mix in Sanders as well in those stacks with Wentz. I don't think I'm
not necessarily. Not sorry, I should have been clear. If I play Sanders, it's probably going to be with some of my other stacks. I don't like playing the quarterback running back combo like when I do these, unless it's, I mean, say if McCaffrey, obviously, say it was something like that where you know he's going to get like 10 catches either way.
Right.
I personally don't like doing the quarterback running back same. So I should have explained a little bit different there. Like if I like Sanders, it's probably when I might play him with a couple of other stacks. I'm going to talk about other teams wise, like mixing it. If I go like with another team, like quarterback receiver heavy, Miles Sanders numbers, I would like in comparison, like adding to that. So
yeah, I'm sure he's going to be involved in the passing game, but for me, it's more or less like pricing. I like the cheaper prices of the receivers to stack with Wentz, you know, because if I go to Sanders, I don't have his number written down or right here, but I believe Sanders is somewhere around 7K on FanDuel. I think he's like 68 to 7K, around that range. That's almost $2,000 more than the receivers that I'm looking at. So it's more or less just a price thing for me with Sanders. I'm sure he'll be involved in the passing game. In fact, I'm confident he will be. It's just it doesn't pay off for me as far as the price is concerned.
Makes sense.
And the other thing that I'm struggling with as well is I know they're going to be part of some of my highest exposure quarterback in the stacks is I struggle with who to bring it back with. Obviously, Terry McLaurin is going to be a major of those that I run it back with. But who else do you run it back with? If you're stacking the Eagles, you want them to put up a lot of points, and you want the other team to be competitive as well because you don't want the Eagles to take their foot off the gas pedal, right? So you got McLaurin. The running back situation there, they're not going to be running the ball very much. They're going to be behind.
Yeah, and like I said, I think you make a good point there. I think McLaurin's the one, like that's the only one that really makes sense to me too, that like if you're running it back with in the matchup there. Because, I mean, like I said, the backfield's a cluster. Obviously, Darius Geis out of the equation. I mean, the tight end situation is not any good. So it's, you know what I mean, that's like you're saying, it's a tough.
Do you know who the starting team is for Washington?
I want to just say Chris Cooley for is it literally that is it like Sprinkle or Sprinkle?
I'm pretty sure it's
Jeremy Sprinkle, who will probably score He'll be like the game where he'll have 1 catch for 5 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, and outscore George Kittle and all them at $8,000. Yeah. That's not going to happen. We're just joking. But yeah, just the running it back is going to be hard. I don't like doing stacks without running it back with the other offense. Some people can do it. It's not for me. I want to maximize the amount that I have there. That's the only worry that I have with that stack. So who's your second stack that you like?
And it's funny, like my second and third kind of go together with what you were just talking about with like running it back. So this is like the game I like the most in terms of I think it's going to be a shootout. Personally, is the Seahawks and the Falcons. I think they're one of the highest numbers, if not. I think it might be the second because I think it might be the Ravens-Browns. I know you might know better than me offhand. I was kind of checking on something, but I know the Seahawks-Falcons have one of the highest numbers for Week 1. Like I said, I think the Falcons numbers aren't bad. Like I said, if you're going to play like with Ryan, Julio, Calvin Ridley at 6,100 and Hayden Hurst at 4,300 is very nice. I'm really big on Hayden Hurst, as I've talked about year-longs and obviously dailies. Like I said, if I don't go the Ertz route, like I really like the Falcons with, like I said, Hurst. If I'm pay for Julio, but Calvin Ridley is sitting there at 6,100. That's very tempting for me because I really think he's going to be a huge part of the offense, even more so this year. I know you mentioned like Gurley at 6,100, and then the Seahawks. Like I said, DK Metcalf. I feel like I'm almost have to play because he's only at 5,800. The Falcons secondary I think is atrocious. They actually got worse, and I mean DK Metcalf I think is just like screaming. I think he'll probably have a lot of ownership, but at 5,800. I like a lot. I mean, if you want to talk more about, I'm sure you have them somewhere on your list, probably these two. But the Seahawks Falcons is a game where, like you're saying, if you're going heavy on one, I think it's very easy to run it back either way.
Yeah, I didn't put them on my list, either one of them. Reason being is what you said, is ownership. When I'm stacking teams, I understand ownership isn't as prevalent when you're doing mass multi, because you can change it up. You can get different elsewhere. It's just everybody is going to be on Atlanta, everybody, and you have to take a stand somewhere on a slate. Like you can't meet the field or be better than the field in ownership in every single spot. Atlanta's the spot that I'm probably going to avoid, and Seattle on the other side. Seattle, you've seen with Pete Carroll over the years that what he wants to do is run the ball. That's what he wants to do. And Russell Wilson has succeeded at passing the ball in spite of him. And Russell Wilson's the most efficient quarterback I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this guy gets 20 to 25 attempts a game, and he'll get you 4 touchdowns and 250 yards. And it's just crazy, you know? So, I mean, I like that. I like the efficiency. But Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. And in turn, with running the ball, it's going to drain the clock. Not as many opportunities for Atlanta to get on the field and score points. Yeah. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just rationalizing for myself why I'm going to Atlanta.
I hear you. Like I said, I actually think it's going to be more of a shootout, like being in Atlanta. I mean, that's just a hunch, just, again, seeing the number. But like you said, it is, in turn, that's the only, like, drawback is, like, there's going to be a lot of high ownership there, too. So what's the benefit? There could be lower benefits of it. So even if I don't go heavy here, I mean, there might be some that I like to mix and match with my Eagles. Like I said, I like if I go, especially if I go like Wentz Jackson or Wentz Jackson and Rager, but don't go Ertz. Hayden Hurst, I think I'm going to have a lot of, because I think fitting in that Austin Hooper, Tony Gonzalez role, they traded for him. They have no other tight ends. I think he's going to come out firing right out of the gates.
Yeah, I thought Hayden Hurst was going to be a tight end that didn't have necessarily low ownership or high ownership. They were kind of in that middle gray area where you didn't really know where they were going to fall. But as the weeks have progressed, more and more people have started to talk and take notice of Hayden Hurst. So I think his value as a lower owned play and a cheaper play has diminished a little bit. It doesn't deter me from playing him, but if it continues this trend where he's gaining more and more steam, it's almost more valuable to me to just fade him completely and go somewhere else. I like Hayden Hurst, but if Hayden Hurst, who hasn't played in the Atlanta offense yet and is in week 1 of a COVID 2020 season, and he's one of the higher owned tight ends, I'm probably going to look elsewhere.
Yeah. By the way, I'm taking credit for the Hayden Hurst hype train.
Are you? Yeah, they watched our stuff and they started digging into it.
I'm the conductor right now, but I mean, hopefully I don't have to jump off.
And if you guys want to fact check this on this, you can go back and watch our video and see that he did. He beat me to it by about a minute and a half. On
10 seconds.
Yeah, he beat me to it. But yeah, so
I'll let you have Chris Herndon if you want him.
God, so don't want Chris Herndon. And I've been reading reports about Chris Herndon coming out, and he's going to be the guy, and they're going to get him the ball, and there's nobody else to pass the ball to, and I'm like,
and he's 2,900 week 1, and you're like, I have to.
I'm going to play him, and I'm going to hate it. He's going to bust all my lineups up. But my second one that caught my eye, and it only caught my eye because they're in New Orleans, and that's the Saints. The problem, though, with the stack is if you're playing New Orleans and they're at home, play all the guys. Like, play the guys. Breeze, Kamara, Thomas. The problem is that their prices are steep. So if you're playing all 3 of them and you're trying to bring it back on the other side with Evans, Godwin, OJ Howard, I mean, pick your pick of the litter there, you're not going to have anything left over for the rest of the lineup. So you're going to have some value open up. Somebody's going to have to be out that week, and you plug in a wide receiver 3 that's working as a number 2 or maybe a number 1 that's moving up. It's going to be very hard. I got on there and I tried to hand build a couple of lineups with it, and those lineups are very, very unsexy. Like, they do not look good at all, but it could pay off for you because anytime New Orleans is playing at home, it's like those boxes that you check. Is New Orleans playing at home? Yes. Are Thomas, Kamara, and Breeze all playing? Yes. Are they going to score 28 points? Yes. So you just kind of want to, you want some exposure to it, but it's going to be hard for me to stack, but I will try. I will attempt to stack them simply because of the upside they bring. And the fact that Tampa Bay's defense, their run defense is very good. Mm-hmm. their pass defense. Yeah, number one.
They
Their
were.
pass defense is not very good. So it just lines up for me. They're not going to be able to run the ball very well. They have a good O-line, but I don't think they'll be able to run the ball very well. And they're going to.
I wouldn't play Lat Murray. I wouldn't play out of anyone on the Saints.
Right, right. But yeah, so that, and then the Bucks. You could bring it back. You're gonna have to go with a cheaper cheaper tight end probably. How many people do you think are gonna try to run this stack and bring it back with Gronk?
I was thinking. He's 4,900 on DraftKings, so that's for Gronk. That's low. But,
is that a fish play?
Say it again.
Is that a fish play? I
don't know. Like, it's weird. It sticks out to me. I was like, because I've seen some Bucks down too. I had him a little lower, but I don't know. It's weird. It's because again, all the reports you're hearing, he looks great. It's they haven't lost any anything. You know what I mean? Playing with Arians loves him. Even though we talked about Arians tight ends, I don't know, but Brady's. Brady's not going to not throw to Gronk. I don't know. It's a tough one because
you're right. It's an odd spot.
Because I feel if you go with what you're saying, it's hard not to unless you just really dive down and just hope OJ Howard does something, which I never want to go down that rabbit hole again. But
I'm not done with OJ Howard. I'm not done with him.
Maybe on the Bucks, but I think he's a really good talent. But I feel so burned by him the last year. That's why I think Chris Herndon, I'm gonna let burn me one more time.
Yeah. So who's your third stack then that you noticed?
Kind of the next one again. It's kind of like a mix of a game, and I mentioned it to you before, when we were talking. Just I think the Niners stuck out to me a lot just because of the value, because they're dirt cheap, and they faced the Arizona Cardinals defense, who is not very good. And this is and again, it kind of goes against my philosophy a little bit because I'm not big on the tight end. But now that Kittle got paid, he's 7,200, and the Cardinals historically were bad covering the tight end, not just bad. They were historically bad. And why it looks good to me in my crazy mind that I'm thinking Kittle at 7,200 is because the rest of the offense, Jimmy G 5,800. And then, because Deebo Samuel, even if they say he's back, he's not going to play. He's not going to be ready. Kendrick Bourne at 5,000 and your boy Brandon Ayuk at 4,500, who they said have all been looking pretty good. Those numbers are really, really nice numbers in a game that's going to be crazy. And then running it back on the other side, you have Cardinals guys, like I said, I could probably get Hopkins in there and Kenyon Drake possibly 6,400, 6,800 because of the value that San Francisco entails. And I think it's going to be a shootout. 49ers defense was really good, but they were able to be gotten by teams that have dynamic offenses. And like I said, Kyler Murray at 6,400 is not a terrible number, but like I said, if I'm going where the 49ers stack, I'm going to probably would go with Jimmy G, the Bourne, the Kittle, and then I like Hopkins. And even Christian Kirk at 5,000 is not bad at all because I think Kirk's I think he's an up-and-coming star as well. I'm going to have a lot of the 49ers Cardinals game. I'm just going to tinker. Like I said, with you, I didn't get to tinker around as much. Like I said, it's funny. I did tinker around with the Saints idea. So I was watching the one video thing. I was oh, how can I get Michael Thomas? I'm always trying to figure out how to get Michael Thomas and I just want to get Thomas and McCaffrey in every week and see what happens. What I can throw together with those two. But
this might be the season you can do it every week with COVID going on.
It just
a bunch of value opens up every week and you just plug them. I remember it was 3 or 4 years ago when you plugged Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, and there was another running back. I can't remember who it was that every week just plug them in and then work from there because there was always value opening.
Was it Kamara's rookie year when he was just going wild too? I remember just playing because his value never skyrocketed for a while, and it was just put him in, let him get points.
That was actually my next stack was San Francisco.
Yeah.
The prices are low. Arizona, you've already hit it. Arizona, you said they're historically bad, record-breaking bad. They just the way their defense is schemed and set up, it's almost as if they just choose not to cover the tight end. They just say, you know what? We're going to cover everything else, and we want you to use your tight end to beat us.
And it's not you're not facing – George Kittle's one of the best tight ends. Obviously, if he's not – he's one or two. You can argue with him and Kelsey, but so it's not – if you're facing even a middling tight end, he'd tear him up. George Kittle could go for a monster game.
And Brandon Ayuk, you nailed it when you say is my boy. I love Brandon Ayuk in week 1. Another reason I like the Niners stack is because Arizona, everybody's going to be on Arizona. Everybody. With the Hopkins trade, with Kyler Murray being electric, you got Larry Fitzgerald over there. Christian Kirk is being hyped up. Every single person, when they look at the games, they're going to look at that Arizona game first, just because of how electric that offense can be. So I want to leverage that, and I want to be lesser on them, and I want to be more so on San Francisco on the other side. Because if I do that, I'm already leveraging the field and heavy ownership and going direct opposite of Arizona. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Arizona. If in week 1, how many people do you think are going to look at Brandon Ayuk and Kendrick Bourne and be like, that's who I want in my life?
Supposedly Bourne's been looking at him and Garoppolo have an amazing connection. He scored a lot. He scored touchdowns last year, even when like Sanders was playing and Debo. Like I think the Niners, like I said, Garoppolo's 5,800. Man, that's a low for a guy that had 27 touchdowns and 4,000 plus yards.
7,400 on FanDuel, which I think is where he should be right now on FanDuel is 7,400. Just because the scheme is to run the ball. But I think this is going to be a game where if they don't get a lead early and can control the game and game flow and the clock with the running game, dude, this could be an explosion spot for Jimmy.
Because he has those games where it's like the 4 touchdown games, 300 yards. I see that happening here.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are going to get Cardinals are going to get points. It's not going to be like I don't think it's going to be like the knockout, like 10-9 or 14-10 game going into the fourth quarter.
And I'm still going to have pieces of the Cardinals offense.
Yeah. I mean, I love Kenyon Drake. He was like the number 1 fantasy running back besides McCaffrey like the last 5 weeks of the season last year. And he plays in the passing game a lot too. Like he was perfect they finally found the right home for this guy.
Yeah, he's good. I have this thing, man, about Chase Edmonds though. I don't know what it is. Like Chase Edmonds scares me. I think it's because when I was heavily invested on David Johnson for a little bit.
Yeah.
And Chase Edmonds took away quite a few fantasy points from David Johnson. So now anytime there's another running back on the field with a healthy Chase Edmonds, I'm just like, you have
a little PTSD action.
Yeah. So it's probably completely ridiculous that I feel that way. But anyway, who is your next stack that stood out to you?
One that stood out to me, and in a way it's because I could honestly, this would allow me to play kind of how you're talking about, like would get Christian McCaffrey in the lineup possibly, is the Raiders against Carolina. I think Carolina's defense is not that good. And there's a lot of offense. Even if I don't go with Derek Carr, even though he's at 5,900, which honestly I wouldn't mind playing some there. Josh Jacobs at 6,800, Tyrell Williams 5,500. I mean, I know Ruggs is at 5,100. I'm still like rookie receivers, I do like Brandon Ayuk a little more. I mean, I think Ruggs is going to play some, but then still Waller at 5,900, another tight end option that's not crazy expensive like the other top ones. And even Hunter Renfrow, who really came on last year at 4,500 against, I think the Carolina offense or the Carolina defense can be had. And I think Gruden's going to want to get Carr going. And then in turn, this is a lineup I played around with a little bit that allowed me to get McCaffrey in the lineup with like this kind of stack. I mean, again, this is a little lower on my list of stuff, but I mean, it's something I really kind of was intrigued by. So I think the Raiders are a little better than people give them credit for.
Yeah, I'm going to be rather heavy on the Raiders. I have them listed here. John Gruden, basically the way I'm looking at it is week 1 for the Raiders quarterbacks. For the David Carr, is an audition. Week 1, week 2, week 3 is an audition for Derek Carr. If he doesn't play well, John Gruden is hyping up Mariota right now in the offseason. And I'm not saying that they're going to make a quarterback change immediately, but I'm just saying if you're the starter and you're making good money and they bring in a young backup quarterback who's super athletic and the coach is saying how great he is, you're on thin ice. You need to play well. So I think they go out there and they throw it a little bit more than they normally would. And that defense, like you said, Carolina's defense, their average age, I think, is like 24 or 25 years old. They are young.
And like we talked about their draft, they literally drafted all defense. They had like 8 picks, all defense. Yeah. And, I mean, and even if they hit on some guys, I mean, Luke Kuechly, who's a Hall of Fame player, retired. And I believe one of their corners left in free agency, even though he wasn't even that great. But I'm just saying, like, one of their starting corners. Because, again, they're in a full rebuild on defense, at least. Like they have McCaffrey, they have DJ Moore. I mean, they brought Bridgewater in as a veteran quarterback, but defensive wise, they have really nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know they have a couple linemen that are still decent, but it's not like they're going to be a bottom 5-7 defense in the league.
Right. And I like Nelson Aguilar and Ruggs as my two. Like I said, if I'm playing I said this before, if I'm playing in a cash game, a 50-50 or a double up, and I'm doing a stack with the Raiders, I'm doing a stack with Waller and Williams because they have a higher floor, right? So, but if I'm playing a GPP and I'm trying to get a little bit different and I'm stacking people, I'm probably going to stack one of those other two with them. So basically a Waller and a Ruggs, a Waller and an Aguilar, something like that, just to get different.
I can't play Aguilar even if my life depended on it.
I know.
As you probably understand. So.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I understand. No, it makes a lot of sense, though, in all honesty, for like the perspective. Mm-hmm. I have drama in my life from watching him try to play football. But that's personal.
He had some weeks where he popped off in Philly.
He did. And he actually didn't play that terrible in the Super Bowl, but
he just had a long learning curve. For some reason, he couldn't learn the routes very well.
Yeah.
So
no comment.
I have two more stacks that really are interesting. I'm going to leave one for the last one because it's probably pretty surprising as being a stack. One of the other ones is the Detroit Lions. Matt Stafford's come out. He's healthy. He's post-COVID. He's good to go. He's got two number one receivers, and Marvin Jones Jr. and Kenny Golladay. Both are beasts. Then he's got T.J. Hawkinson, a healthy tight end, coming. He's got pass-catching running backs, Kerryon Johnson. So I'm not afraid of that Chicago defense. I know they're good. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of that secondary. That pass rush, I'm not afraid of the pass rush. I know they've got Khalil Mack. I know they've got a good linebacking core. But I think these receivers are much better than that secondary. And all Stafford really has to do is just lob it up and let Kenny Golladay get it and let Marvin Jones go get it. And people are not talking about T.J. Hawkinson enough. This guy is a stud athlete, a premier tight end who has not produced yet because he got hurt last year. And they were in the mode where they're trying to run the football last year. I think they're going to wake up and they're going to say, look, we have this talented trio, and we got Matt Stafford, who we have underappreciated for too long. We're going to let it sling. And week one's where you get them because the prices are only going to go up.
No, I mean, I like where your head's at there. I mean, I didn't have them as high, I guess, on my list, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and especially because I think a lot of people just automatically look at Bears defense and are like, "No, I'm good." But no, I think you're right because also in turn, depending on receiver wise what you play, like I said, I love Allen Robinson. I think he's quarterback proof. Like if you play him back from the, the other side, depending on like who all you play value wise. I think I like that. I like where your head's at there. I'll throw one more in. I hope I'm not taking. I don't think this is that crazy off the radar, so I don't think this is the one I'm hopefully not taking from you. Do you want me to?
Go ahead.
I put the Colts down.
No, I got.
Okay, that's good. I don't want to take it. So, I mean, the only problem here is, like you said, like I wouldn't mind playing honestly if I don't go like I like Rivers, like Hilton, and my man, another tight end, Jack Doyle at 3,600. Who I
can't
honestly
say that name without trying to fall asleep.
I know, but I honestly think he could literally be a top 10 fantasy tight end for the whole season. And I think he's going to have he's already had weeks prior when Andrew Luck was a quarterback that he had top 5 tight end weeks. Like he's capable of these games or scoring 1 or 2 touchdowns. Rivers has history of doing well with tight ends, with Gates, and when Hunter Henry decided to be healthy for a few weeks each season. I do like the running backs a lot, but I think I would avoid the running backs just because Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack, just when it comes to the first week, who's going to get as many carries. So in turn, I would probably run it back with Leonard Fournette just because I'm a little bit, and I like DJ Shark, but I also like I said, Hilton. So I think there's a lot to be had that could be had in this game. Because I think Minshew, at least with Jacksonville, they're just going to throw the ball. And Fournette underratedly had like 70. Fournette had 70 catches last year. Like I think that will go down this year because they had Chris Thompson, but still. He's not like just going to like only run the ball. And even your boy, I know Paris Campbell at 3,900, if he solidifies himself as the number 2 receiver, with Rivers will get the ball to his different receivers. You know what I mean? So Paris Campbell, again, if he solidifies that number 2 spot going into week 1, he'd be an interesting, value play.
They got Michael Pittman out there too.
I know, and he's only like, I think he's 4,200. So I had him down. So I mean, whoever the number 2 receiver is to start the season, I would like to. If I'm going with, playing with the Colts stack, that's one I do want to. I'm going to look to try to play around with a little bit as well. So don't be afraid. I think Rivers is going to come out slinging. I mean, he played. Like I said, Frank Reich was the OC in San Diego, so it's not unfamiliar, even though it's a new team. So I think there could be some value there.
Yeah, Russell has a ridiculous Super Bowl bet with the Cincinnati Bengals. I am going to have a less ridiculous, but still kind of ridiculous. Indianapolis wins the AFC bet. I think
that's definitely less ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely less ridiculous. But I like that. I like the Colts, man. They have a good running back situation. I mean, it's bad fantasy running back situation, but in real football, it's a good running back situation. They've got Ty on the outside. We know Phillip Rivers, like you just said, likes to sling that ball as far as he can. He's not accurate when he does it, but he likes to try it.
They're going to throw the ball. They don't care. He'll throw 22 interceptions, but 30 touchdowns and 4,500 yards. Fantasy-wise, that's fine.
You got that stud Paris Campbell, and then you got Michael Pittman, who can catch everything in or around him, in his area, around his area, he can catch it. But yeah, that's my dark horse Super Bowl bet. So if anybody's watching this in a little bit, and you bet the Colts and they get to the Super Bowl, you can thank me. You can
make sure you give them a share of that.
I'll provide you with my Cash App or my Venmo, and we can get a share of that. But my last stack. And this is a GPP only stack. Do not put this in your cash games. And that is a Dolphins stack. The reason is and I just saw that Fitzpatrick is actually not with the team right now, and that changes things for me. But if Fitzpatrick is there healthy and playing week 1 as the starter, he is a wide receiver 1's best friend. He will force feed the wide receiver 1 the football. He's always done it everywhere he's been. That's Devontae Parker. The number 2 receiver is coming off of an ACL injury, Preston Williams. He may not be 100% healthy, so he's probably not going to be who I stack him with. But then you go down to Isaiah Ford, who is the bare minimum. He's going to be probably the number 2 receiver. And you have Mike Gesicki at tight end.
Penn State.
Hey, there you go.
I have to. I had to once.
It's not a video until we recommend a Penn State player, right? So, and they're not expensive. And they're going to – I know I say this, but Miami plays New England pretty well normally. They normally beat them once a year.
End of the dynasty last year.
Yeah. So, but they're probably going to be behind in the game. I would assume their defense is not very good, and they're going to need to pass the ball. So it just makes sense to me. If you have a cheap stack, team's going to be behind. It's a narrow target tree. There's not a lot of people are going to be getting targets. You can get a number 1 that he's force feeding, and then you get the number 2, either Isaiah Ford or Mike Gesicki. But that's going to be my GPP stack. I'm not going to have a lot of it, but I'm definitely going to have a few teams, probably anywhere from 5 to 8 teams with Fitzpatrick. If Fitzpatrick's out, I don't know if I can do it with Tua, because I just don't know. I don't know if he's taking any offense.
Or even more exciting if Josh Rosen played.
I hate Josh Rosen. I like Josh Rosen coming out of college. I thought he threw.
I thought he was going to be really good.
I thought he threw a beautiful ball, but he's had the most unlucky situations you can imagine. He's gone to 2 of the worst offensive lines in the league. No wide receivers when he was there. Yeah. I mean, and then he just gets annihilated. He just holds on to the ball too long. But do you have any other stacks that kind of?
The only one that I kind of didn't mention, they're lower, but it's the only one we didn't mention out. Like I said, I did a list of 10. We covered all of them. The only one that wasn't, I put the Chargers down. Again, they face Cincinnati. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's going to play. He's played in the league. I mean, 5,600 is not. I mean, it's not the most exciting, but I mean, Eckler at 7,000, I think is very good. Allen at 6,400. The Bengals defense is terrible. I know. Sorry, Russell. I know. But I actually saw that the Bengals were I was listening to one show the other day that their win total, I think it's 5.5, and all of the Vegas experts are betting the under.
For them to make it to the Super Bowl is 10,000 to 1.
Yeah. I mean,
10,000 to 1.
All the credit to Russell if that happens. I'll be like, hey.
Hey, listen. He's going to Reno. What is it? What's today? The 22nd?
21st or 22nd, something. I forget.
He's going to Reno, and he's placing a Cincinnati Bengals bet, he told me. He's going to place a Cincinnati Super Bowl bet. I've never cheered for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I will if they're in position.
Yeah, definitely. 1,000% will do that too.
Yeah, like as long as it doesn't affect anything I got going on, I'm pulling for them. Hey, you want to answer this here?
Joe Beckman. Come on, you're my number one. You're my number one fan. Don't pull that shenanigans around here.
So yeah. So if you guys want to enjoy a Twitter feed, go check out his Twitter feed and just watch him complain all day, every day about how terrible the Indiana Pacers are and how he could do so much better.
Shout out Nate McMillan, right, Joe? Shout out Nate McMillan as a coach. I'll give you Brett Brown, and we'll call it even.
Yeah, but that's basketball. We're not really worried about that. But yeah, so guys, that's our stacks. We'll put out like we said, we're going to put out a few more videos for you guys to watch. Go back and watch the other ones. I know a lot of people haven't done their drafts. Look at our season-long stuff. We've got some little nuggets in there, good information. Use it, and then let us know you used it. Comment down below and tell us how your teams go. If you guys have any questions about stacks, I'm very active. I'll get on there. I'll respond to you. And, yeah, any questions, concerns, come join the page, TRHS Sports. Russell Hantz, he's pretty active with us. He'll be doing videos with us during the football season. We also do NBA content right now. We're doing playoff content. We're going to soon be doing MMA content and those kinds of things. But, yeah, if you guys want to get a hold of us, just comment below, and we will be back soon with some more videos for you.